Alright, this is like the third attempt. I'm having a lot of issues right now. Ignore the screen recording thing, that was from the previous attempt. Mr. Fox here. I've been having so many issues because iMovie won't let you have an image last more than 6 seconds and puts an automatic transition between each of them that you have to personally remove if you don't want it to be there. And I'd have to have over 200 copies of the same image, and I don't want to do that. That would take so long and be so boring. And then I tried using a different app, which I had to do the free trial of its full subscription just to make it YouTube video sized, like the orientation, the landscape mode instead of Instagram reel, because of course. And even then, it wouldn't download the video to my phone, and I wasn't about to connect that to my YouTube account. So lovely. Either way, I want to talk about Marvel Rivals and support in Marvel Rivals because people are complaining about triple support again, and I understand it. Triple support can be annoying. When you have the opposing team going 3 different heal bots and making it to where things don't die, it becomes annoying because things don't die. But I want to talk about that because partially because I saw a video from TD2, who I do like his videos overall. No hate to him. Just for clarification, I just his take on how to solve the triple strategist thing. I hate it. I personally think we shouldn't give duelists even more burst damage because that's not gonna fix triple support. That's gonna make a new problem. Well, okay, technically speaking, it would fix triple support, but in the wrong way. Because I'm pretty sure that it would either lead to goats, where people really don't want to explode, so they just go triple tank, triple support, and then there aren't any duelists, or you'd end up with 6 stacking duelists and just playing Call of Duty Deathmatch, because what's the point in having tanks and healers if everything just explodes? Might as well just make things explode yourself. And yeah, so that's fun. And my idea is basically the opposite, and I saw another video, I don't remember who the person was that made it, who also suggested making DPS not do as much damage, and that's part of my solution. Like, reduce damage across the board for the game, just make it to where people don't explode as easily, because that'll make it to where people don't feel like they're forced to go triple support in order to survive. But on top of that, we need to fix supports, because there is a problem. 90% of them are heal bots. I am exaggerating a little bit, but we only have 3 supports in the game that aren't total heal bots. Gambit, sorry, not Gambit. Gambit's one of the strongest supports. I did not mean to say Gambit. The 3 supports that aren't complete heal bots are Mantis, Adam Warlock, and Ultron, because they're designed to be DPS/utility supports. We need to have more of that and less of heal bot for days. Because again, the reason people go triple support is because damage is so high that if you don't go triple support, you're not going to have a good time, because you're just going to explode on repeat because of how strong damage output is. And some DPS hit harder than others. Like, Hela can 2-shot you with headshots. Daredevil exists. And that's not even getting into Hawkeye being able to 1-shot you. But people go triple support because there's too much damage. But if you then add more damage, it might have the inverse effect where no one plays support, because what's the point of healing if it's not enough to keep people alive. Or you'd end up having supports get buffed to do even more healing, and then any characters that don't have burst damage just stop being viable entirely. The solution to numbers being too high is not to make numbers higher. And if we can get the game into a state where damage is manageable with only one or two dedicated healers, like one ideally, and then if the enemy team is going a particularly high damage comp, you make your second support be one of the healing focused supports in order to compensate. It if we create that environment where you don't feel the need to go triple support, we can also create an environment where supports aren't all heal bots and they all do other things. And like right now, it really is just all but three supports are just heal bot, heal bot, heal bot. Sure, they might be able to do damage at the same time, or Rocket has really good close range damage, but only in close range. But 90% of support gameplay is just sitting there healing, and a lot of people don't have fun with that. And I personally do enjoy heal botting sometimes, but I do also want to do other things. So I want to mention specific things for each support that's currently in the game as of January 7th to 2026, which is when I am doing this right now. I think Luna should be left mostly the same. Like, obviously, if we're reducing damage and healing across the board, like, numbers will have to be adjusted. But aside from that, leave her be. She is the heal bot. That is her entire identity. Right now, in the current state of the game, she's not actually super good. Because while her ultimate is amazing, her long-range healing is great, she suffers from lack of utility and survivability that other supports, Susan and Gambit, have in spades. So just letting Luna stay pretty much exactly the same, high long range healing, that single target, can temporarily reduce her range but have piercing heals. Being able to heal multiple people or make one person heal more, having a stun to help defend yourself because you're basically Ana, and having a strong ultimate that keeps people alive, I think that works. And then Cloak and Dagger would also, I feel like, don't need a whole lot. Their healing on their ultimate might need to be reduced a bit, maybe shift the values to where it's a little more even between damage and healing. I don't know, but basically have Cloak and Dagger be a combination of discount Luna and AoE Luna who also happens to have utility. They're much easier to play due to their weapons being more or less auto lock. You don't really have to try that hard to hit things. They can't do as much single target healing as Luna. With Dagger's abilities, she can temporarily get a burst of healing that's on par, but most of the time you're not doing that much single target healing. You're mostly an AoE healer. So if you're in a grouped up team comp, it might be worthwhile to go Cloak and Dagger instead of Luna just for the AoE. And you have Cloak's Veil thing for a damage vulnerability. You also have Cloak's intangibility button to save everyone from a burst of damage, or just save yourself if you want to be that. Also, you're more self-sufficient. Your bubble can heal yourself. So the idea is they are reliable for newer or less skilled players. They don't overshadow Luna because Luna is still much better at raw healing output and has better personal burst damage thanks to being able to headshot people. And they still have unique stuff because of Cloak's abilities. And those two are the healers. The rest of them can heal, but they each have a different thing be their thing. Starting with Invisible Woman, Can we just have her be a utility character? Just let her be Brigitte, but different. Instead of having her be the heal bot of all time, who also has a bunch of defensive utility, just make it to where she doesn't heal as much. Her ultimate, I could see being turned into a barrier, kind of like Manga's Cage in Overwatch, but without the locked inside part. Cage, but without the cage part. Uh, or maybe have it be a damage reduction field, just something that isn't healing, but is still defensive. And then, at that point, her job is use your shield to block damage, use your psionic wave push pull thing to either help get a kill by messing up an enemy disengage or pushing someone off the map or whatever, or to just reduce the effectiveness of an enemy engagement by pushing them away when they try to go in, and then use your field, your AoE thing to mess up flyers and slow the enemy down and just get extra little chip damage. Your job is to help defend your backline, just like Brigitte. And then Adam, I could see Adam losing his cooldown reduction on his heal, since we're trying to not have healing be as massive. But his main thing is he's a bulky DPS support who has Soul Bond to keep the team alive from bursts of damage, and his ult revives the whole team. The three current DPS supports would be left largely alone as they are now, because they already don't really contribute to the support problem because they're not heal bots like the others. With Rocket, who is one of my mains, I would remove the direct healing on his heal and just have him have the AoE healing, but maybe have like a 20, 25, 30 burst heal the first time someone is healed by it without having to worry about the direct heal part. Just because it feels a little weird to use sometimes, and also because we're trying to make him not be a heal bot. Just let his heals be reliable, kind of almost permanently up, even if you're not firing off heals a ton. And then please give him back the mobility he lost. Give him back the dash distance, give him back the shorter cooldown on his dashes, and maybe make his wall crawl faster. Make him be that one support who can move real fast. And he still has the really strong close range damage. If he still felt weak even with the healing reductions, you could give him less egregious fall off in order to kind of push him towards the damage support feel. And of course he still has his beacon and his ultimate, which I would remove or at least reduce the bonus health from it, in order to make it be just the damage boost utility. I want his main thing to be his mobility and the fact that his weapon actually does surprisingly good damage if you can get close enough. As for Jeff, I'm not sure what specific changes should be made to Jeff. I don't really play Jeff, so I can't really comment too much on him. But I could see him going back to a state more similar to his initial release when the game was first made, or somewhere between there and now. But like, he would be similar to Rocket in that he is a mobile, hard to catch support who has decent AoE healing, but Jeff's healing requires more accuracy. Maybe it's higher healing per second by a little bit, so that he's slightly better at healing. Plus, of course, he has his bubbles, which helps his healing, so he might not even need to do that. He would have more reliable range damage than Rocket, and better self-sustain thanks to his bubbles and the healing from his dive, and his ultimate can be used to immediately remove enemies from the field rather than making it easier for his team to get kills. So he could, and like of course Jeff doesn't have the same mid-air mobility that Rocket does because he can't do anything in the air. So Jeff would kind of just be better carry potential on his own just by doing damage himself. Maybe, not sure, but the little guys would be mobile, kind of DPS-y, but still good, decently at AoE healing. Yeah. As for Mantis, again, kind of the same. She's she's a DPS support like Adam, but instead of being tanky like Adam, she has potentially higher uptime on her heals, damage boost, sleep, and her ultimate can do a lot of healing, which can make up for a backline that doesn't have Luna or Cloak and Dagger in it, or an opposing team that has enough damage that you want the extra healing ult, but you maybe don't need to have both Luna and Cloak and Dagger. And then Ultron, DPS support, but he's flying. So he can get better angles. He's better at doing damage because his healing is fully set and forget. He can help his flyers better. His ultimate, I would remove the healing on it and just have it be a damage ultimate, kind of like Idiati in Overwatch. And yeah, he would be best in a triple support comp. But he's basically just a DPS who has some healing, some bonus health, and that's it. He at this point he could just be moved to the DPS category, but As for Loki, I think he could probably stay the same. I have no ideas for Loki. I don't see Loki very much. I don't see people talking about Loki very much. He's probably fine. Uh, he's the tricky one who can switch places with his illusions and go invisible and make you can't kill me fields and also become other people. Sorry, I don't have much idea. I don't have any ideas for Loki. If you have ideas for Loki, comments. Those are a thing. And then Gambit, reduce his healing and potentially reduce his damage a bit. He can be another utility support like Invisible Woman, but instead of the defensive and positional utility that she has, he has the cleanse, the healing boost, and the anti-healing, which lets him really just do whatever needs to be done at the moment. Maybe you could let him have his cards more often in order to compensate for the lowered healing and damage. I'm not sure. Right now he just does everything, just like Invisible Woman. Ideally, both of them would be characters you pick for their specific utility. Invisible Woman, you pick her because the enemy team is going for a dive comp and you need to somehow defend your team. Or with Gambit, the enemy team has anti-healing effects or a lot of healing and you want to be able to deal with those two things. And yeah, those are pretty much my ideas for supports. I want there to be more variety within the role, because it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to make every single support a heal bot except for the three that aren't. And with how much damage there is in the game, we need to reduce the damage in order to allow for the variety in supports. And in this, with these changes, there would probably still be triple support comps, but they wouldn't be nearly as frustrating as they are now because there are only two supports that are truly heal bots. And if you adjust the healing on the healing ultimates, then that could also help alleviate the punching bag effect that those ultimates provide. I also just want to briefly, before I end this, complain about Moon Knight. Like right now, DPS are pretty good at doing damage as it is, and all the best ones right now are good at doing big damage from a distance. Or their name is Daredevil, because Daredevil also kind of just does it all. He's able to dive, he's able to counter dive, he's hard to get rid of. But anyway, Moon Knight, I just want his Ankh gone. This is a tangent. This is not part of the. This should not be part of the video, but can we just remove his Ankh? Because why does he get to have a button that forces you to be in a position where you're going to take unavoidable damage? Why? But anyway, that should be the end of the video. Give ideas in the comments if you have any. Be respectful and all that. I have a script for this video. I was looking at it to help with my thoughts, but I didn't actually read the script directly because my whole thing is just rambling. I still don't know how people do outros. Have a good day.